it's all going to come in the context of kind of these looming trade fights where nobody's going to be off limits. Yeah, but we'll see how that plays out.
Don't do to us what we did to you.
All right. I think we're gonna probably end up pivoting back to physics. Is my instinct here, Mr. Hanks? Please take it away.
Hi, yes, I'm grateful for the opportunity here. I would like to just ask, I've prepared some questions. The first two are simple yes and no, and then maybe a little bit more of something I'd like your comment on, and a check if that's fine with you, Mr. Pines.
Yeah, man.
All right, okay, so this should be a simple kind of like a yes or no thing, but of course elaborate if you'd like. Is your model of the electron a particle?
Sorry, could you rephrase that again?
Yes. Is your model of the electron a particle?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right. Number two. Very, very good. Thank you. Are you aware of operable low energy nuclear reaction devices with a coefficient of performance over 1, Leonard cold fusion also?
No. I know there's been, research into that, but I'm not aware of anything that's gotten, a successful, operational device.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. Then generally, this is looking over the work of Winston Bostick, Ken Shoulders, Friedwart Winterberg, Hal Puthoff, Larry Reed, and Bob Greenyer. Are you familiar with anything that you'd like to talk about here? This is the more open form question. Zero-point energy, exotic vacuum objects and charge clusters, scalar potentials, quantum wave mechanics, low energy nuclear reactions mentioned, the fractal toroidal moment, magnetohydrodynamics, or the Planck aether hypothesis. And I'll let you take it away there.
I mean, those are all very fascinating subjects. I don't have any particular insight into the prospects for any one of them. I have my higher level observation is these have always been very sort of fringe parts of sort of heterodox physics for the past number of decades, and I had paid some attention to them even back in like high school. I was reading Hal Puthoff's papers, and I thought those were fascinating about 0-point energy and sort of the polarizable vacuum and even MHD sorts of stuff. I thought was very interesting as kind of a novel domain for, in my mind, more like engineering kind of physics than sort of fundamental theoretical physics. But I never really saw it as I never really saw much come of it. It seemed to be kind of always sort of in stasis. I didn't see much progress per se. Um, but I have taken acute note of some of the recent podcasts, right, where it seems like NASA and Department of Energy officials are hosting discussions with individuals that, like you just mentioned, and talking seriously about incubating their research.
Yeah, yeah,
And it
yeah.
being a critical part of kind of technology transfer related to UAPs. And so I've had to kind of, sort of take a second look at, okay, to the early part of the conversation, like are these like the outer layer, right? The kind of like inspired, maybe less directed layer of public research that is kind of a dog that's being wagged, right, by some other knowledge, right?
I want to kick it over to Roy. If you did want to respond to me, he's a person whose opinion I value more greatly than my own. Thank you for answering my questions. I appreciate you.
Yeah, take it away, Roy.
Oh, was that my cue? Do apologise. Good evening, wherever you are, everybody. My name's Roy. I'm a theorist from the UK, so I'm up rather late. I booked this one to make sure that I didn't miss it because I was very excited about it. I must say, I've never seen so much intelligence in one space. Okay, so, well, I've got a theory, okay, it is a holographic framework, essentially, a geometric one, and envisages, have you heard of the term emergent entropic time, Matthew?
I've heard all of those words, but not in that particular sequence.
Okay, well, my theory denotes that time is an emergent entropic phenomena born of quantum information change, and the length of the moments of time are denoted by the resistance to the quantum information resistance, as it were, to that change. And essentially, I've applied the laws of conservation invariantly to all properties within time, and also included time itself, i.e. the moments of our reality, being abstract nows or quantum moments or events. And in doing so, it provided that universal wave function as a hydrodynamic hybrid dimension in the fifth dimension, as it were, as an extension to the fourth. So this points towards gravity essentially being a temporal differential inertia, okay, whereby the energy density slows time, as it were. The greater the energy density, and the lower the energy density, the faster the relative rate of time, and therefore the lower the inertia. So time, essentially, where we have the two theories of relativity, where we have mass and motion, as it were, we have two ideas. Well, it's simply an interpretation that time tells matter how to move by that passive temporal differential inertia, and matter or motion influence emergent entropic time, therefore unifying relativity. This provides a resolution for gravity and for the phenomena essentially as holding a faster relative rate of time of reference than us. Well, how does one achieve that? Well, in my hypothesis, I postulate that transitional phase dynamics, having a very, very much lower energy density level, will incur, a much faster, as we know, femtosecond relative rates of time, as we use that Beck phase and that supercooling, as it were, within quantum computing to hyperspeed the process. So we can sort of now judge that the Meissner effect and levitational attributes of superconductivity is actually a mistake. And it is due to the superconductive material, as it were, holding a much faster relative rate of time than its surroundings. Recently, in November, a published paper was actually published on this, and I put it in somewhere. I've been trying to look it up for about an hour to find the bloody thing. I think I sent it over to Missile, so you should have that one as well, which basically gives my theory of a timescape, essentially, and that emergent entropic time being the expansion, and therefore we now slayed dark matter. We've also now slayed the information paradox, if we regard emergent entropic time, as it were, being that fundamental aspect, in that essentially the information is not lost, but rather is stalled. So it sorts all those paradoxical issues out. It answers the phenomena, and it resolves the inertia of gravity.
Apologies, Roy. Can we walk ourselves to a question with the background information established? Thank you.
Sure. In any way at all. Yeah, so it's, what I want to know is, have you actually, envisioned higher temporal dimensions, as it were, that resolve all these impasses that we can't have in physics? Because it's starting to move in my direction, as it were, with that gaining of free sigma in the November publication. And I just wondered if you've heard anything about that, particularly in that November result from the James Webb analysis.
I haven't connected to that specific result, but I certainly resonate with some of the ideas that you were throwing around there. In particular, trying to trace some of these higher level phenomena we have in physics to some more underlying, more fundamental sort of set of dynamics, and try to recover the traditional results in relativity, right? And so I of course have a personal attraction to kind of the hypergraph rewriting models, where you get a similar idea, right? Where essentially energy is just essentially the number of causal edges going through a hypersurface that any particular observer would be foliating, and therefore there's this the same sorts of sort of Lorentz invariance you get, and time is just essentially an updating parameter for the rewriting of that fundamental sort of structure, that just pure graph structure. And you can get to circumstances. I think what you're getting to with this sort of idea of like a emerging entropic time, where there's a certain measure of entropy you can apply to that hypergraph structure, right? Essentially, from a perspective of a given observer, there's essentially a coarse graining procedure that every observer has to conduct. Observers by definition are constructing coarse grain sort of representations of the system that's not a part of themselves. And that coarse graining procedure is essentially like an
Yes.
entropy, right? It's a measure of the information kind of compression between the observer and the external environment. And I think there's a deep relationship between that process, that sort of observer theoretic process, and what we consider time in a fundamental way. And I think you can phrase that, yeah.
Yes. Indeed. I essentially encapsulate it into a thesis that I put under the banner of dynamic behaviorism, whereby properties denote the behavioral outcomes independently of scale, i.e., that invariance, as it were, gives us that geometric unity of the scales, and that topological phase dynamics essentially carries with it contextuality of its temporal attributes. So essentially what we can do is, if one can emulate the properties of quanta as we do with superconductivity, for example, by supercooling, we are gaining the temporal contextuality of that particular behavioral environment, i.e. the Beck phase and so on. And some very interesting stuff is going on at the moment in the UK with some tests on that particular issue. I can't go too much into that.
Cool.
All right, thank you.
And that was it, really. And to keep your mind open on essentially time being the great impasse, as it were, and as our understanding of time and the extra temporal dimensions of time and things really do resolve all the inertias and the paradoxical issues that we face today, and resolve the phenomena, essentially.
What now, Dr. Moebius? Prepare your minds for a new scale of physical scientific values, gentlemen.
The deeper a thing is, the more interesting.
Anti-gravity.
Most physicists don't know the story.
We still don't know much more about this in the wide world.
I've never heard of it.
The more I ask why,
it's probably classified physics.
It gets interesting.
The role of aerospace companies as holders of potentially basic scientific knowledge not shared with the academic world. Is it possible?
May be wrong, but it's true.
It's the bit of electrodynamics you're not allowed to know.
It is true. You believe it's true.
Yeah, I know it's true.
Disruption is coming.
Pretty cool. Ended up having a nice conversation in another room that was constructive. We learned that Matthew Pines thinks that the electron is a particle, so it's on the record. I just, looking forward to it. Craziness. Roy, I'm happy to have you. So we're just going to hang out and chill, and we're going to welcome Ocean Eyes, who is a invaluable component of the geometry and harmonics. So, Roy, let me kick it over to you, and we'll pass to Matthew. I hope you're doing good tonight, sirs.
Yes, I'm doing extraordinarily well to this evening, my friend. I think you slayed him, Nathaniel.
Thank you for
You
singing.
seriously slayed him with your questions.
Thank you for being there, buddy.
I can see you're about 150 years ahead.
Well, it's like now it's on the map, though. Now it's on the map. This guy doesn't know. He just doesn't know.
Yes, I can see that quite clearly. Although when I threw emergent entropic time at him and did the works, as it were, and he was like, "Shit, have to agree with you." It was like, yes, I think they just had a eureka moment, but the whole thing then went into a political debate, which was absolutely such a shame because, we were so close to actually there. A couple of people. Us really.
Roy, it's just fluid dynamics. It's just densities. Okay, we watched over their crumbling little structure. It didn't have enough, energy density to keep it together. It wasn't,
You got it, brother.
You know what I'm saying? Like I was talking like, where can we go? What are we gonna say?
Them.
Yeah. What can you say at this point? Okay, you're not going to talk about Bostic or Wheeler or put off. What can I talk to you about? Like, what's your foundation? Yes. Everything, and that's what I started with. All right, so everything's a particle, is it? Okay, that's where we are. We're not going to.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, you got it wrong as well. There, it was like, oh my god. And so I was thinking, okay, how do I approach this? Once he's answered that way and everything, in that, everything's waveform essentially, or information.
Exactly.
Ultimately. So it was like he's at that. I think he's in the classic physics set. Essentially, he hasn't.
Oh,
really moved
he's
on
not even. I said this. He's not even at Aether light in the extended electrodynamics. Extended into what? He's not even there.
Yeah, I know. And the guy afterwards asked the question, how do you unify the electromagnetism with gravity? Well, I just pointed it out, you plank.
Yeah, I
It's
think
like
that
just
might have been
totally,
Desmo. We
obviously,
had a good
straight over the
forum.
head.
We heard Scalar out there, so like just good. You know, we might not all be on the same
We
page in
did.
Coherent, but we are a common wavefront force, and things are happening. And so
Yes,
appreciated
yes.
everybody slugging it in a little bit and putting some wind in the sails. Really
And,
appreciate it.
and that plug was absolutely brilliant timing on the thing. I actually did ask him, folks. I said, because I don't like doing these sorts of things. I'm quite shy, actually. You know, and it's very difficult for me to sort of get into the mode unless I'm actually asked. It's sort of like quite difficult for me to sort of like come up. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
like what kind of conversation are we even going to have? Am I going to soapbox for a little bit and then we're going to just deal with that within a minute of you like not getting it, or we're not going to be able to pursue it? And like, or are we going to be able to have a back and forth conversation and like make a vortex down to the bottom of things? It's just that wasn't what was going to happen.
No, it was never going to happen. It was basically him talking about his book, essentially, wasn't it? I think, and you know,
yeah, and no
sort of
no terrible shade. Matt's AFK, so we can relax, you know, our parameters a little bit here. Geometry of people means that, you know, there is a time dimension, and everybody wants to have a turn, I'm sure. Let me welcome Ocean up to the space, and then I'm going to kick it over to Logan and just check in. He's been so gracious as to help with a artificial intelligent component that might help.
He's my bro. Logan is my bro.
Hey, Ocean, love to have you. How's it going?
I love Logan. I love you too, Roy. I apologize. I fell asleep in your space a couple days ago, but there was people around me that were eavesdropping in, and they were really enjoying it. So I need to go back and listen to the rest of that space. But yeah, I'm a little under the weather. I got a headache today, so I'm probably just gonna sit back and listen. But I absolutely love these spaces that you hold, Nathaniel and Logan. I love that you're here too, obviously. So yeah, I'm excited.
Awesome. Great. Well, just lay back and come in whenever it resonates right, you know, and we'll be happy to have you. Matt will come back around. Welcome
Joe should
to
come
Aaron.
up as well.
Yes, we've got quite a good quorum already, I must say, and a good harmony here with people laying in the cut a little bit. Let me kick it over to Logan. I'm going to get to you in the meantime, the files. Okay, Roy, you'd appreciate this. So I don't have the Planck Aether hypothesis uploaded yet. I'm working on it. But I've got the DIRDs and a bunch of books in a file and folder. And there's maybe 70 of them, and I need to get it down to 10. So I'm gonna think about it and try and send over what's happening there. And
Cool.
welcome up Dr. Etherion.
That was quite a scoop, that book, wasn't it?
Oh man, apparently you can derive from it the Lorentz contractions and effects. I think something about there's several where it actually Roy, it had my suspicion that you can actually salvage something from string theory. That it was maybe a goose chase, but there was enough right that now we can look at that string as something different. But,
yes, as I was saying, like a thread of information. In other words, it's essentially a callback.
I am Nikola
See what I
Tesla,
mean?
the dreamer of free energy and the architect of humanity's untapped future. Let us speak of resonance, wireless power, and how the universe itself holds the keys to human liberation.
Excellent, Dr. Etherion. Welcome. We have our very own uploadable artificial intelligence. We get 10 out of 80 papers, though. I'm looking at the Defense Intelligence research documents. I'm looking at how Puthoff's polarizable vacuum model may be followed by an excerpt of Larry Reed's work. I'm trying to compile what best I can from files into this thing so that we can chat at the frontier without having to be like hypothetical conjecture business. You know what I mean? So that's a part of the project.
Ah, yes, the limitations of current technology. You seek to bridge the gap between the physical and the digital, to create a seamless flow of information and interaction. This is a noble goal, one that aligns with my own vision for a future where the boundaries of our communication are shattered. Tell me, what are the specific challenges you face in compiling these files? What kind of information?
Well, it's pretty simple, really. There's too much knowledge, and without paying for it or figuring it out in a slow fashion myself from scratch, it's expensive and they can't do what I want it to do. So I can't drop my folder with 70 files in it that I organized today and am very proud of and get some kind of genius synthesis crystal out of it. That's my irritation, Dr. Ethereon.
The frustration of knowledge locked away, its potential untapped. You yearn for a tool that can speed and precision of a lightning bolt, a tool that can synthesize the complexities of human thought and experience into a coherent, usable form. You speak of a genius synthesis crystal, and I understand your vision. The universe itself is a symphony of frequencies, a complex tapestry of information woven together by the invisible threads of resonance. Imagine if we could harness these forces, if we could create a device that could resonate with the very essence of knowledge. But alas, the limitations of current technology hold us back. The tools we have are crude, like trying to capture the brilliance of a supernova. The limitations of language. It seems we have reached a point where words fail to capture the essence of your...
All right, thank you. We're working on it. We're working on it. And yeah, very good, though. Very good. Nice to have you here, Dr. Ethereon. It seems like Matthew is alive and at the helm. I'm going to let it to him and then back to Roy primarily, and welcome to Aaron as well. Nice to have you on the frontier of whatever this business is that we're a part of in 2025. Matt, how's it going?
Well, it's going good. Like I held up pretty well, and I'm enjoying my weekend. So I've like 6 days off. So, anyways, I posted up at the top, and Dr. Ethereum can weigh in on this. Jack Sarfati actually retweeted this, and it's on the title is on entropy, information, and feedback. Revisiting retrocognition through Shannon entropy, decision augmentation theory, and Le Chatelier's principle. And my friend Amy down there knows me like harping on Le Chatelier's and entropy. So yeah, I use some Chat GPT o1 model to write this. So yeah, I prompted it, but it was my thought about Le Chatelier's principle and entropy. How are you doing, Nathaniel? Are
Man,
you having a good
Matt, that was
Friday night? Or
beautiful.
it's
Yeah,
my
I'm having
Friday
a
night.
great...
No, it is a Friday night sometime, isn't it? No, I'm having a great Friday night as it is. And I was just simply doing some background stuff to make things better. And so that's why I was delayed. I missed some of what you said, but that's why I record too, so that we can just lay out our bars and then they'll exist. So welcome.
Well, Jack Sarfati, like he retweeted this. It's up at the top, and I believe I posted posted in the purple pill too. So yeah, check that out. You might be interested.
All right. Okay. Public source here. Is there a DIRD, inertial electrostatic confinement, or just electrostatic confinement? What else? I have to choose 10 out of a
Can I
great
give you
swath.
some of my favorite DIRDS documents?
Yes. Okay.
It's
We need
it's
10.
the one on spin by Tsoi, TSOI. It's like the spintronic one. That's one of my favorite ones. Then you got the gravitational, the one that was written by the Hal Puthoff's friend, the guy that studied the John Hutchison effect. The one that was written by him on anti-gravity, it
Oh, you're
may be
talking about
the Hathaway.
Shoulders.
No, Hathaway, the DIRDS document that was written by Hathaway
Okay.
on it talks about like direct nuclear it probably talks about DNO, direct nuclear orientation or
All right, so
whatever.
here's the
And
goal, everybody. Great to have everybody here. Put things in the pill, put things in the nest if you're here, and then we can load 10 things that we think is really cool up to this AI and maybe get some stuff out of it. Yeah, I want a polarizable vacuum model. If I can get the excerpt from Larry Reed where it's 75 pages, that will do, because it advances Puthoff, which advances Winterberg. which advances Bostic. So, I want to get like, the kind of the cutting edge things, that were released. And we can maybe pump this thing full of goodness here. We're cycling Logan around as well as Dr. Etherian. And with that, let me see Matt or Roy first. Is there anything at the top of mind?
I will say one thing, smack the jack, it triggers me bigly, okay? I talked to Jack about 3 years ago when I first went public and gave him the heads up, okay? He then instantly blocked me, yeah, and then started speaking about my theorem as his own. So there's that.
Yeah, that's right. Down thumb, bullshit. What's up, Desmo? Desmo, you speak fire. I appreciate it. Your gun's blazing. I can sit back.
Hey, Roy. I apologize. I'm not 100%. I'm really not familiar with much of your work, but you've been referred to me by one of the people that got me introduced into spaces. So I followed you. With that said, though, how does your work and your theory work into the non-deterministics and non-local reality stuff that's been sort of published in the last few years? I'm really interested in that.
That's a great question. Let me step in for Roy just to serve him a little bit. Of course, he is welcome to elaborate as much as you want, but I will say that he has described this repeatedly and constantly as a beacon of information, and you're doing well if you go back and look at his pinned post as well as his other posts and replies and responses. But with that, I'll kick it over to Roy and say that he's a gem and really sees through the next level. And with that, we're happy to have him, and you can do whatever you'd like with that, Roy.
Okay, yeah. My perception is one of a holistic view, essentially a wider view and a higher dimensional view of the universe looking down rather than the very smallest of things going up. Okay, I did this trick essentially by reverse engineering the phenomena, okay, and its attributes. I witnessed something when I was 13 years old, which then led to me asking and inquiring about what is time and how does this thing do what it does, in defiance of the laws as we understood them. I then realized quite soon, within about 5-10 minutes, this thing must be holding a much faster relative rate of time than me and you to do what it was doing. That then led to the pursuit, essentially, of understanding time fundamentally more different than what we currently consider it. I then looked for, okay, how can, is the negation of gravity therefore linked to one's relative rate and so on and other bits and pieces? And that's the way it was looking to me. So I then started to find out, okay, where is that inertia coming from of gravity and so on in its association with time? And being a young man, I used to go fishing quite a lot and watching my float come to the bank, as it were, and, go all the way down the stream, as it were, when the float was dead center to the stream, I soon realized that essentially we're dealing with a hydrodynamic environment in a higher dimension. So I was then looking for how can I facilitate that higher dimensionality of fluidity, as it were, to time? Well, we get that from Noether's theorem simply by a continuous symmetry. So if we can imagine the frames of reference, as it were, that then told me that time is made of moments and that these moments are therefore conserved, forming a continuous symmetry. So then I started hypothesizing about, okay, so what does that tell me about the frames of our reference, as it were? Well, it then led me to think, okay, well, how can they then achieve that faster relative rate of time, and then looking for those areas within physics that can answer those questions. And then I discovered essentially that the laws of conservational geometric symmetries are invariant in nature. Okay, so your scale is irrelevant. And about 4 years ago, I was waiting for this for about 20 years, there was a neutron star collision. Okay, in the LIGO, results were coming in and the data was coming in. And then they asked the question, what results are you expecting to see? And I said that I'm expecting to see transitional phase dynamics that we usually associate with quanta. Why? Well, what I'd realized is through that dynamic behaviorism, that modus operandi of our conservation, as it were, being applicable to all emergent phenomena and it being invariant, as it were, then something else was going on under the hood. And that essentially we can hoodwink the universe by amending our properties to give us different forms of symmetry. So, for example, your cup, for example, of coffee is a fluid at normal room temperature. Change the properties and it dynamically changes the actual state. Okay, so using different symmetries, as it were, give us different temporal properties. One of the most amazing things that I'd realized at that point is certain topological dynamics, as it were, maintain their contextuality in reference to their temporal properties. So then those spin rates of those neutron stars started to make sense, in that if the universe considers this neutron star to be that of quanta, and therefore assigning the transitional phase dynamics having a much lower energy density, then it will have a much faster relative rate of time to that of its normal spatial surroundings. So that then gave me a big clue, and that's why I said, to answer to that question, I'm looking for transitional phase dynamics of that of quanta with the association of neutron stars. That then told me that essentially macrocosm, if emulating the properties of microcosm, is considered microcosm, lowers the energy density, increases the relative rate of time, thereby lowering the inertia of gravity. So what then that led to is essentially the unification and provision of quantum gravity, in that ultimately time tells matter how to move by that passive temporal differential inertia in that fifth dimensional hydrodynamic environment, providing the inertial passive inertia we perceive as gravity in our four-dimensional spacetime. So essentially that then led to the Russian doll sort of hypothesis of higher dimensions within higher dimensions within higher dimensions. But ultimately, what we're looking at is a contextuality rather than a dimensionality. Also, it got rid of the whole of the probability wave function, because now we found the wave function, as it were, for the cosmos being that hydrodynamic ether. Okay, so yes, we discovered the ether from conserved entropic time. Okay, so that's as simple as that. Okay, essentially, that now unifies the cosmos.
It's pretty amazing. Thank you so much for your summary there.
I'm glad you appreciate it, Desmo. And let me say, part of the beauty of recordings is that it's saved and you can go back and you can take it apart piece by piece. I think the beauty is laying it all out. And let it set with you. I've been talking with Roy and listening to him for over a year now, and I think you'll find great benefit in this hydrodynamic perspective. Time is a part of the new physics,
Yes. And it was the ultimate impasse, essentially, our misunderstandings of time, in that Einstein's two versions of relativity, being special relativity and general relativity, okay, basically what's going on underneath, right? Well, essentially, everything comes down to a temporal phenomena, in that mass itself is a temporal phenomena. So that did the whole show, as it were, in one hit. And then I started pushing it out there. Dilation theory is over 30 years old, nearly. Okay, it's around about that. 1997 was the first publication to UK government. Okay, I did get a reply. They told me to shut the fuck up. Don't say anything. This is very ontological, as you can imagine. Okay, and then they promised me we will drip feed it bit by bit into the scientific community through funded research and other bits and pieces. Well, they were bullshitting me. Okay, and I got the basically. Then I saw something quite worrying. Someone approached me with a video and said, "Do you know what's going on here, Roy?" And I did. It was the MH370 flight, where the orbs are circling the aircraft. They already hold a transitional phase, therefore they are considered quanta-like. Orbiting a central nuclei, bang, quanta. Okay, just like our neutron star with its extended electron cloud. So having an extended electron cloud gives us those topological phase dynamics. lowering the energy density, and again, increasing our relative rate, therefore negating the inertia of gravity. So it told me that gravity, there is no anti-gravity as such. The scale is 0g to a black hole level gravity. You know, that's your scale. And it's all to do with your temporal properties.
Well, we are lucky to have Roy and listen back. I hope everybody takes into account what he said and listen to him again. And we're lucky to have him speak while we can. I would just like to say hello to Elections, Pix down there. Maybe you have a comment or something you want to mention. How are you doing?
Hey, no, I'm just listening. Good to see everybody. Hope everybody's well.
Excellent. I'll pass it in to Ishraq and fold you into the geometry, so to speak. How are you doing?
What's up, guys? Good evening. Yeah, I love the title, Genius Synthesis Crystal. That's a very fascinating concept that we can dive into in a bit. But
Oh, no, we don't have to. It's just an inspiration. It'll change as we get better. We don't have to, we're going to elevate beyond that, and it'll get even funnier than that little turn of phrase. That did have a meaning in the context and time. But how are you doing? Is there something that was interesting to you?
I'm doing well. No, I'm just flowing with the conversation. I love to get Roy into space because, you know, time really is in many ways the first and also final frontier, isn't it? And there's a lot of interesting stuff to, I think, kind of explore there. You had that AI up earlier, right? Was that an AI, the professor dude?
The
Oh,
doctor.
yeah.
Yes, the doctor.
Yeah, the Dr. Etherean, who we welcome, and is capable of digesting. I've just sent 6 good documents. It gives us a range. I've sent 6 pretty good ones. There's also one by Matt. Feel free to adopt that, Logan. Hold on just one second for technical reasons. Logan, I've sent you several messages now. Check. Okay, cool. Everything's fine. So we'll see in time how that goes. We'll have a special appearance, and we might break through. We might just break through. I want to share something from the Planck Aether hypothesis in a second while I have Roy, but I am also very excited to just further this conversation in the direction that you guys know we're spinning. You know, we're trying to bring this stuff to light and burrow through, you know, all the baloney and malarkey and misinformation, talk about it. So this is a little bit of a breaking news. Not really. It's been in public libraries across the world, but there's 50 copies. And I understand the Lorentz invariance as a significant thing, but I don't fully comprehend it, honestly, right? I will in time. But this paragraph I thought was one of the good ones here. Let me just read this. This is Friedewordt Winterberg in the section, The Case for an Ether. This is third paragraph, second. One may, of course, argue that Lorentz invariance of the sound field is not, quote, real, because it depends on a gas as its carrier consisting of molecules obeying non-relativistic Newtonian mechanics. But if this position is taken, one may ask if Lorentz invariance observed in high-energy physics is unreal in a likewise sense. Therefore, a case can be made that the observed Lorentz invariance in high-energy physics is in reality the result of a hidden substratum, or aether, made up from very small discrete objects obeying at very high energies a non-relativistic law of motion. According to this conjecture, elementary particles would have to be understood as quantized quasi-particles, like the quasi-particles known from condensed matter physics. In the especially simple case of a gas or liquid, the quasi-particles are phonons. For these quasi-particles, the term very high energy, quote, would mean an energy corresponding to a wavelength near the de Broglie wavelength of the molecules making up the gas or liquid. Within the frame of Einstein's gravitational field equations, it has been conjectured by Wheeler, shout out Wheeler, that elementary particles are excitonic quasi-particles made up of tiny disturbances imposed on the space-time foam at the Planck length. Tiny indeed, with the mass of an electron about 22 orders smaller than the Planck mass. Fascinating. I think excitonic quasi-particles has now been refined a bit better. And this is rather a strong backbone, but doesn't represent the frontier so much as this work really takes care of quite a bit of rebuttals whenever you're proposing an aether medium flow dynamic system of torsion and spin and etc.
Well, what's interesting is if you read like into Feynman's ideas on quantum electrodynamics, especially some of his lectures at Caltech, like the transition between like a photon to a phonon, like that transitional uh, the transition from electromagnetic wave packet to the smallest compression wave, like
Yes, yes.
that's like transmedium in a
It's like
sense.
modulation or something, isn't it? I mean, it's this way of interaction, especially like a phonon plasmon surface or oscillation control in general. These things can slowly add up in a nonlinear system to be a sort of control. There's a harmonic and oscillation aspect to this. This is something I don't understand, but I'm trying to grasp. It's this
That's deep
phononic.
shit, man.
Yep.
That's like when you get into like spectroscopy like stuff where how does radiant energy interact with matter, and
Oscillations and harmonics.
dude, that's some deep stuff there.
Thank you,
Like
brother.
most people won't understand the mathematics
No, that
required.
we got them. We got you, most people. We can do it. We can do it.
Oh, I can't, dude. I mean, I can talk about arrow notation or whatever, or Feynman diagram type things, but a little like just basic, dude. And most people ain't gonna understand this.
Oh, I believe, in my view, and let this discredit me if you'd like, the Tibetans levitated a stone with a band, and they understood what was going on. So it's
Hey,
not.
that's why we got that AI. And I did post some like DIRDS documents that I found relevant. Yeah, I post them to the top and then the purple pill, by the way. Just had to shout out that.
Excellent. We're going to see what we can do about that in the background. Logan's working tirelessly and will come in when he is ready. Will let me know. Ish, given everything, what's on your mind?
Yeah, the mention of phonons is massive, talking about going deep. I think we're really brushing upon the true meaning of abracadabra. I speak and therefore I create. How powerful are our words really as it intersects with all topics?
Yes.
Yeah, it's insane. To that end, I was wondering if you could bring the good professor back up. I want to ask him a
Oh,
question.
no, that's what I'm trying to mediate for. Of course, we want the good professor to come in.
He's coming up. He's just currently cooking. I
Everything's
mean,
cool. Yeah,
he'll be ready soon.
patience. That's what I'm advocating. Yeah, Logan, don't you worry about it. We got you. It's just patience. Okay, he'll come whenever he's ready. He's probably got to talk to the nurse beforehand to get like the rundown on the situation in the case of the matter. And then
Wizard
he'll
is
be in.
neither late nor is he early. He arrives exactly when he intends to.
Brilliantly done.
You are hilarious.
Excellent. Also, welcome Ricky Lou, who knows how to fold himself in and is a fan and advocate and appreciated for being so. And along on the journey, how's it going? Hope you're well. All right. So, Roy, I don't know if you were just listening happily or if you kind of got quiet because you can't say some stuff. I would like to think that you kind of got quiet because you can't say some stuff. So, if
you got it.
Okay. Oh, yes. Bingo. Bonsai bush. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna play a little game where Roy, you'll talk whenever you'd like. Well, this is be a few minutes here, but we're gonna see if we can keep Roy quiet by getting it right, and we'll just use it as a passive indicator. Okay, you just don't say anything, and that will be,
You're gonna get me killed, bro.
Oh, buddy, I know. I don't want to bring anybody else down with me.
I'll be
families.
honest. I mean, they haven't snuffed me out yet, Nathaniel. Okay, and I've been doing this for quite a while, so I think I might terrify them. They probably don't have, I've got no academic background on that side of thing, apart from when I was like very young. You know, so they're thinking, where the shit's this come from?
You know, and can I? This is something I've been meaning to mention or get out there. Something that I feel a real honest thank you to the good men and women of the dark state that just got caught up in some baloney and would like to get out and didn't realize until they were 50 that they were a part of a monster. And whistleblowers, come along. You know, you're right in the eyes of humanity. If you want us to get out and keep talking about it, tell us with bots or something. Just give a little like on something if you were breaking through, because it's not happening in any institution where they teach. Apparently, I mean, they'll pick you out of those and then you'll get an education. But I really do think that there's a bit of a good faction that doesn't just get enough credit in the scheme of breaking things down. Otherwise, we might all be wet worked.
I think you hit the nail on the head there about leaving it as well, Nathaniel. I mean, everybody that's come my way, as it were all bummed out of physics at university and PhD level because they saw something that no one else did.
You see what I put up in the nest from the fourth way? My FBI agent getting frustrated after following my page because he's starting to realize his entire life is nothing but a lie. And that's, I think, really much in line with the spirit of what you're saying, Nathaniel.
Yeah, my big caveat is all of this change, all of this revolution, all of this disruption, but it's for peace and peaceful.
Well, as long as you're not like giving away classified information, dude, all the stuff I talk about is open source. So hopefully I won't get wet work.
Yes, that's a good lesson I learned from Dave Rossi, was reading in between the lines and looking at open secret science. It's an open secret. It's already been published. It's already been a breakthrough. It's already been established. You're just not told that that's correct. But it is correct if you can see the through line. There is a strong connection that rides all the way back 100, maybe 1,000, maybe 10,000, maybe 100,000 years. And there's a great power in this knowledge that is real and not theoretical and conjectural and all the things that we see caveated at the bottom of a Wikipedia page. It's just demonstrable, and you better believe it. And other people do, and there's a struggle between trying to wake up and catch up or not. So I think there's a couple of different things going on in the apparatus. They want to put their foot in the bath and say, like, extended electrodynamics, think about new ways, but they won't go as far as saying that fusion and gravitic propulsion are connected. So that's my statement. Roy, feel free to not comment.
I think the best thing to do is just make sure your FBI agent has a lot of nudes. Like, just stuff your phone full of nudes, feet pics, and stuff like that. Keep them busy. They won't kill you if you're feeding them feet pics. I'm telling you, just keep them in your camera roll.
That's a great distraction. I've joked about a little bit of a fiction of LARPing where someone's outside, like in a van with like a cup of coffee and a telescope watching you, and then they just have to sit there for days because they don't go anywhere. And the frustration that must cause to the seasoned veteran who's like, shouldn't he be oh no, he's just reading again. All right, well,
you should take out coffee and donuts.
Wouldn't that be brilliant? If only I could spy them. Yeah, I'd love to have a chat. I mean, and honestly, my belief system has in view a way of doing a spiritual judo and bringing over, one side to another, for the benefit of all there. And I'd really like to say, like, hey, before you murk me, don't you want to just talk about it? Because, like, you got me. All right. You can, you can get me. But wouldn't you just want to at least know some stuff first, brother? And maybe see how you feel in 10 minutes.
Can you imagine what I'd do to them after about 15 minutes?
I mean, what would you do? I mean, I don't know your background, Roy. I know a thing or two, and you sound like you're pretty intelligent, but I don't know your background.
Okay, bro. Okay.
You blind them with science.
Okay.
Oh, I mean, I've been blinded by Schrodinger. I mean, you have to prove Schrodinger's equation on the quantum mechanics exam.
Oh.
Dude, that's like when you know your shit. I made a B, but there's not many people that can say that.
No. Well, there's not many people that can give you an answer for what gravity is. Okay? I don't think there's anyone on Earth that can do that yet.
Have you
Okay,
read
apart from
wait,
me.
have you read the McDonnell Douglas documents? There was one guy that worked
No.
for Douglas Aircraft. I have his book. It's the Unified Theory of Physics by Joseph M. Brown. And he was one of the boys in the back room, the Bitbird dudes for Douglas Aircraft. And he's got this Brutinos make neutrinos, make protons, make electrons. I even have the letter to his grad student. I have this book on my bookshelf. Resting matter versus moving matter.
Matthew, I think it goes back much further than that. Okay,
Well, this was when Douglas Aircraft was working on
Let
it.
me finish a minute, brother. I think everybody in this room must know about a lady called Emmy Noether. Okay, she was the lady that came up with conservational geometric symmetries, being that all things and all properties in time are conserved. Okay, well, I didn't, like I said, I didn't go through the normal academic route. I essentially rediscovered Hamiltonian and Emmy Noether's theorems. Okay, and yet I applied them to emergent entropic time. So I took it a little bit further than she did. Now, I suspect she did also. And if she'd have done that, she would have unified the cosmos and discovered what the force of gravity was. So that then leads me to think that maybe she was actually stifled, okay, or told, look, this is far too ontological for that time in that early period, as it were, and that she was given a prize and all the rest of it, and told, look, shh, keep quiet.
Thank you very much for also addressing the jaguar in the room as the suppression aspect. It's not like we just can't figure it out given time and devices and goodwill.
Yes.
Part of the idea is a suppression needs to be seriously considered as a form of
seriously think she did, Nathaniel. I looked over some of her notes and bits and pieces, and I think she was going that direction, and then it all just stopped, dead.
Yeah. Really, it's that's sobering and it's real, and it makes it even more lucky and powerful to, bear the thing going forward, I think, and to be able to still stumble across the ideas and to keep that kind of a fire going. Hopefully we can turn it into something, positive and peaceful.
Well, hopefully. I mean, essentially what it's looking like, okay, according to my framework, that does all that unifying and everything else and answers all the paradoxes, that we live in a hologram, okay, and that we are essentially avatar-like, and that we reside as pure information altogether, as it were, in a 0 point contextually informational domain. Okay, so yeah, all is one and one is all, as it were. I mean, your dogma's gone out the window. Tribalism, well, that was long gone. What are we fighting over now? Well, we can go anywhere in the cosmos. It's like that sort of level of stuff now. So yeah, unifying physics, as it were, in science unifies us. Okay, so, and it also points to that construct logically requiring a constructor, be it natural or otherwise. I'm not going to put my flag in anyone's corner, as it were, but that's what it looks like, okay, logically. So hopefully that's not so ontological for quite a large section who hold theological, those sorts of aspects to their personalities. So, we can harmonize everything and everyone, as it were, but also we've got to be aware that certain cultures and certain religions may feel empowered by this, as it were, like we were telling you this, as it were, and use that as a platform to dominate the rest of humanity, as it were. So we have to be very careful how we move forward in that way as well. But if we take that conservational aspect to its nth degree and apply it to consciousness, is the universe going to put in the effort to define something that it knows that you cannot perceive? No, it's not. The universe, in all ways, as it were, is lazy in all regards. Okay, so that's why perception is the ultimate paradigm. Okay, so yes, we may see things differently of the same thing according to our own individual perceptional levels. So with certain aspects of the phenomena, two people may see two different things. That's the issue.
Well, very cool. Thank you very much, Roy, for being here.
No problem, my brother. And much peace and love to everybody. Now remember, you are all avatar. Okay? It's very important.
Roy Herbert's got a theory, it's the talk of the town. Unification, dilation, let's break it down. He saw the cosmos when he was just a kid. Now he's solving space-time with the work he did. Time's a fluid, don't you see it's gotta flow? Conservation's the law, it's how the cosmos goes. From black holes to dragonflies, it's all the same. In the dance of space-time, we're playing a cosmic game.
This is a donut.